Hello once again and welcome to this lesson. So today we're going to cover learning outcome 8.10, which is I can construct a possibility space of two events and use it to work out the probability of an outcome. So let's take an example to understand exactly what is two events. So two coins are flipped together. What are the possible outcomes? So if I have these two coins and I flip them together, okay, if I flip them together, okay, what possible outcomes can I get? Of course, I can get a head and a tail. I can get a tail and a tail. I can get a tail on this coin, sorry, a head on this coin, but a tail on this coin. Or else I can get a head and a head on both coins. So a possibility space diagram can help us to get to know all the possible outcomes. So we draw up a table to help us find all the possible outcomes. This table is called the possibility space diagram. So here we have the first coin. The possible outcomes of the first coin are heads and tails. So we write heads and tails here. Over here we have the possible outcomes of the second coin. As well, they are heads and tail. Okay? And then we fill out this table. We always begin from the first coin. So this H refers to the head of the first coin. This other H refers to the head of the second coin. So H, H. Here we have T, tail, and head. So are you understanding how we're filling up this table? We're getting the cell, we are going to fill it in with head and head. This cell we're going to fill it in with tail and head. Over here we have a head and a tail, so HT, and over here we have a tail and a tail, so TT. Okay, that's how you fill in the possibility space diagram. Now let's answer these questions over here. So how many outcomes are there? The total outcomes are these. These are the total outcomes. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 outcomes. What is the probability of getting 2 tails? So looking at the outcomes, we can see how many outcomes are there of getting 2 tails. So here we have a head and a head, tail and a head, head and a tail, and tail and tail. So the probability of getting 2 tails is 1. So 1 out of a total of 4. So 1/4. What is the probability of getting 2 heads? 2 heads. We have also 1. 1 out of 4. So 1 on 4. Last question. It's what is the probability of getting a head and a tail? A head and a tail. It doesn't matter the order here, okay? So a head and a tail refers to either this one or this one. Okay, so we have 2 out of a total of 4, which can be simplified to 1/2. Let me work out with you another question, okay, from the classwork on page 8 of the notes. Now, a coin and a dice are thrown together. So this time we have a die, okay, and a coin that are being thrown together. Complete the possibility space to show all the possible outcomes. So we are going to start from the die. So a die. What are the possible outcomes that a die can have? So of course it is from 1 to 6. Okay, so from 1 to 6. So we write all the possible outcomes for the die. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. On the other hand, a coin has only 2 possible outcomes, either a head or a tail. So over here we write head and the tail. Okay, so a coin has 2 possible outcomes and we write them here. On the other hand, the dice has 6 possible outcomes, so we write every possible outcomes there. Now, to fill it in, we fill it in as the other one. Okay, so head and number 1, so H1. So the second one is H and getting a 2, head and getting a 3, head and getting a 4. We always write them in brackets. Okay, here we have head and getting a 5, head and getting a 6. For the second row, to fill in, we have tail. Okay, so tail 1, tail 2, tail and a 3, tail and a 4, tail and a 5, and the last one is tail and a 6. So how many outcomes are there? Total outcomes. So we have 6 and 6, so 12 total outcomes. What is the probability of getting a head and a 6? So we must look for a head and a 6 together. A head and a 6 can be found only in this row, okay? Because in this row we only find tails, okay? So here we need to find head and a 6. So head and a 6 we have only 1 out of 12. So 1 out of 12. Question C. What is the probability of getting a tail and an even number? Mela, a tail and an even number, we need to find these here, where we have the tails. Okay, because here, as I explained before, we cannot find tails here. Okay, so a tail and an even number. So T1, tail 1, 1 is an odd number, so it's not correct. Tail 2, it is a tail and an even number. We have tail and an even number here, and the tail and an even number here. So the total possible outcomes of getting a tail and an even number is 3. Okay, is 3 out of the total number of possible outcomes. The total number of possible outcomes is 12. So 3 out of 12. Okay, which when we simplify that, we get 1 on 4. I need you to finish this classwork, okay? So question 2 on page 8 and continue on page 9 as well. You have question 3 here as well on page 9. Okay, that's all for this lesson, and this is also the last lesson on probability, because for probability we have only small content. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. Hope that you understood. Bye.